Hello, I'm Yulia, the voice of the podcast Love to Heal, a journey of self-discovery, healing, and spiritual growth. Welcome to today's episode of Love to Heal podcast. Please like, subscribe, and follow wherever you get your podcast. Today's topic is Mikvah. What is it? Why is it? Let's talk about it. I grew up sort of Jewish. In other words, I knew I was Jewish, it's just that my family never practiced Judaism, so I knew about only the most popular traditions and mitzvahs, such as keeping Shabbat, keeping kosher. I knew that boys get circumcised, and I knew some of the main holidays, and maybe a few random facts that I picked up during my 3 years at a Jewish day school, grade 6 through 8, to be precise. What I recently realized, now that I'm seriously studying Judaism and actually living it, is that I didn't even know the tip of this iceberg. I mean, I pretty much knew nothing, right? So I'm very excited to be learning all this new information, and it's super exciting to be actually living some of these mitzvahs out. So my husband and we have become regulars at our synagogue, which means we go to classes a couple times a week, and we also do our best to go to services once a week, at least. Plus, our kids attend Sunday school, and my daughter goes to preschool at our synagogue. So we're always there, basically. It's like our second home. No joke. So our rabbi and his wife, they began to introduce us to more and more aspects of Judaism, since we've been seeing them a lot more. And recently, our Rebbitzin, the rabbi's wife, Miriam, she suggested that I start going to Mikvah. Now, I had heard of the Mikvah previously, and I knew it had something to do with purification, using water, but that was pretty much the extent of it. So what she did, Miriam, she gave me a tour first of the mikvah and explained exactly what it is and why it is. We sat down at the actual mikvah and we talked about everything, and it sounded really amazing to me. So, of course, I had to try it, right? I like to try everything. So now I would like to share with you my first experience of mikvah. So I'm going to share with you what I learned and the importance of this mitzvah. And also, if you've never done it, I want to tell you just what it all entails and how it feels. First off, let me explain exactly what the mikvah is. And put simply, it's a Jewish ritual bath. It's used for ritual cleansing and purification, and it's often associated with conversion, marriage, and women's monthly cycles. It can also be used for other things like purifying a new set of plates that you bought, for example. Before you eat from the new plates, you should take them to the mikvah, sort of wash them in that special water, say the proper blessing, and make it kosher. Now, the bath itself is a pool of water, ideally from a natural source, which our mikvah at our synagogue is, in fact, from a natural source, and it's most commonly used for regaining marital purity after a woman's menstrual cycle. And that is the reason that my Rebbitzin recommended that I go to the mikvah. Perhaps you already know that blood in Judaism is not kosher. And this actually includes the woman's menstruation. While the woman is on her period, Jewish law prohibits sexual relations with her husband. After her period ends, there are even 7 days of checking and making sure that the period has in fact ended, for a total of about 12 days of separation, quote unquote, from her husband. So the husband should not touch the woman during those days. That is the custom. Once the woman sees that there's not even a tiny speck of blood remaining, she can then go to the mikvah and become pure and resume relations with her husband. Moreover, it's a mitzvah to have relations on the night of the bath immersion. Because doing mikvah brings many blessings to the couple and the whole family, and because after the woman's immersion, the gates of heaven open to allow God's blessings to pour down onto the woman, it is recommended to at least touch your husband immediately upon returning from the mikvah to sort of pass on the blessing to him. So there's a lot of symbolism in the mikvah, and I want to tell you a little bit more about that. Now, I have only been to the mikvah once so far at our synagogue, but I understand that the experience is the same across all synagogues and even countries. At our synagogue, the mikvah is actually a separate building, and it resembles a charming spa. Really. It's really cute, and it's really welcoming and warm, and it just makes you want to be there. When you walk in, a woman, a mikvah attendant, greets you and invites you in. There's a couch and an armchair and a sort of fountain in the lobby. So it's really tranquil, very nice. Then from there, you can enter the next room, which has a toilet, a roomy bathtub, and a shower, as well as a closet with robes, some slippers, towels, and really any possible toiletries you might need, such as makeup and nail polish removers. You see, when you go into the mikvah, you must be as pure as possible. I think of it as being as close to the state in which you were born as possible. No jewelry, no clothing, no makeup. Nothing must be on the body that is not part of it. In preparation for the mikvah, Miriam, my rebbitzin, she sent me an extensive checklist of everything I must do before the immersion. Some preparation may be done at home, but I wanted the full experience, so I did everything at the mikvah. First, let me share with you the list that she emailed me, and then I'll tell you exactly what I did and how I did it. So, number one, just a reminder to separate from your husband. You should not have intercourse from the start of your period until after immersing in the mikvah. Yes, my husband was not happy about it, but it's all for the good, right? Gamzu letova. It's all for the good. Number two, you need to wait a minimum of 5 days for the period to end. Okay, so everybody's period is a little different. It can span for longer or shorter, but it's a minimum. Okay, so you wait for that to end. Number three, do the mikvah check. This is the part where you start checking to see if your period has ended. In order to do this, you don't have to do this, but Miriam actually gave me a pack of special cloth, which is specifically designed for this internal examination. Okay, I'm not going to go into detail there, but it's this piece of cloth, and every day for 7 consecutive days, you check to see if there's any remaining blood on that cloth. Okay, ideally you do this in the morning and before dark. And this is because a tiny spot of blood on the cloth may not be visible to the eye in the dark. Miriam even suggested that I put the cloth up to the window or up to a light, better natural light, to check to see if there's any remaining specks of blood. Once there's no spots of blood at all, that means you're ready to go to the mikvah. Okay, so now I will share with you what Miriam sent me in the email, the list of all the things that I needed to keep in mind or do before the immersion. I'm going to skip some of the items mentioned because there's just a lot to cover. And it's honestly a little overwhelming, especially for a beginner like me. So I will read to you just like the most prominent points, bullet points. First off, remove jewelry, glasses, contact lenses, false teeth, false eyelashes, false nails, band-aids, and any removable medical dental apparatus, including removable birth control devices such as the patch or ring. Remove makeup and skin lotions. Remove nail polish. Cut, file, and clean finger and toenails. Bathe with warm water. Wash the entire body thoroughly using a soap that does not leave a residue and a washcloth or loofah sponge. Give careful attention to the following: ears and ear holes, nose, corner of eyes, eyelashes, eyebrows, entire breast, navel, genital area, also within folds, underarms, elbows, knees, back, between fingers, toes, and the soles of feet. Smooth, hard skin and calluses. Wash hair with shampoo, without conditioner. Shower or rinse thoroughly with water. Comb all hair while still wet. Check your body visually and by touch to ensure that it is free of intervening substances. Do not dry yourself. Signal to the mikvah attendant that you are ready. Put on a robe and slippers while you wait for the mikvah attendant. All right, so that was most of the checklist that Miriam sent to me. And like I said, it's a lot to keep in mind. So I did my best for my first time, all right? The night of the mikvah, I think I mentioned that the mikvah is performed after dark. And keeping all this in mind, by the way, the checklist is provided at the mikvah as well. So you don't have to have it all in your head, but it helps, of course, to know it ahead of time. I went into the mikvah, I drew a nice bath and soaked in it for about 15 minutes. That was the recommended minimum. While soaking in the bath, I cleansed my body as best as I could, and I just tried to relax. Because this was also kind of a time for myself, I left the kids with the husband, he put them to bed, so that was my time. I wanted to relax and focus on myself for those few moments that I had. Once I felt that I was clean enough for the immersion, I made sure that there were no loose hairs on my head, no debris of any sort on my body, and I continued to the next room, which is the actual pool of natural water. This room looked beautiful, resembling a spa room with a jacuzzi. You can imagine just kind of this super relaxing, tranquil vibe. And the water was super warm. The temperature of the water is probably around 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's what typically it is. So I'm assuming that's what it was for me. Once I was ready, I notified the attendant and she instructed me to take off the robe and enter the pool using the stairs. 7 steps to be precise, which symbolize the 7 days of creation. The pool is fairly deep, about 5 feet deep, I would estimate. She asked me to stand in the deepest part of the pool with my back to her. She prompted me to stand in the water with my arms stretched out in front of me and making sure that I was not touching anything around me, like the walls of the pool, for example. Once ready, I was to submerge my entire body, ensuring that every part, including my hair, went underwater. After this, the attendant instructed me to put a little towel over my head, and I was to recite the following blessing. Translated from Hebrew, it says, "Blessed are you, Adonai, ruler of the universe, who has sanctified us with the mitzvot and commanded us concerning immersion." Covering the head also is a sign of modesty and humility in Jewish tradition, and it is especially important while performing religious acts such as reciting a blessing. After that, she prompted me to immerse twice more, calling out kosher after each immersion, and this is done to confirm that the immersion met all the necessary requirements for ritual purity. And it also ensures that I was fully submerged and the ritual was performed correctly. Following the immersions, she told me that I had time by myself to spend in the mikvah, and this was a time that I could pray for whatever I felt necessary at the moment. So she left me alone for as long as I needed, and this was my special moment. I felt that being there all by myself in this water, in this holy, pure state, I felt a strong connection to God, stronger than I typically feel. As the attendant explained to me, after the immersion, the gates to heaven open. This symbolizes renewal and cleansing. This allows individuals to reconnect with their spiritual selves and their relationship with God. And renewal was probably my main reason for even considering this ritual. Of course, it sounded wonderful when my Rebbitzin told me about all the blessings that women and their families receive after the mikvah, like health, good luck, and a thriving marriage. But I felt that for me, at this point in my life and for my first mikvah, it was important to just simply cleanse and renew myself spiritually. This is because I really was not a practicing Jew for most of my life, up until this year. I went from atheism to Buddhism to who knows what until I made a 360 and came back to where I needed to be. I was born Jewish, and now I'm finally a practicing Jew. So, in a sense, the mikvah cleansed me of all the past experiences that were important in my life, but that no longer serve me today. After this mikvah, I feel fresh, I feel renewed, and I feel that I'm on the right path. While in the water, I also prayed for my kids. I prayed for them to follow the Jewish faith, to continue observing the mitzvot once they're adults. Many times parents do their best to inspire faith in their children, and this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to inspire this in them. But a lot of times when the kids become older, they divert from the tradition, especially when they stop attending Sunday school and services with their parents. So I felt that if I were to ask for anything during that special prayer moment, I needed to pray for my children to always have a relationship with God, no matter what. And also, this is not a one-time ritual. I plan to continue this tradition as long as I'm married and still have my monthly cycle. So next time, perhaps I can ask God for something else. But I'm a strong believer that we should never ask God for anything earthly, like wealth or health, because I believe that God will provide as long as we are doing our part. So instead, I believe in asking for spiritual things, like to see the hand of God in every situation, to have more desire to learn the Torah, to love our neighbor more, etc. So that was that. That was my special moment that I talked to God in that special room, in that special water. Everything was special about it. And it felt amazing. After I said my prayer, just to let you know how it all concludes, I came out of the pool, I put on my robe, I returned to the previous room to put on my clothes, and I headed home. The whole experience took about 40 minutes. Most likely, next time I will take the bath at home and do most of the preparations at home. And then all I would have to do at the mikvah is take a shower there, because you have to be wet when you enter the pool. And I'll just do like a, double check to make sure I don't have any loose hair or anything like that on me. And then go into the mikvah immediately, into the immersion. This will likely cut the time in half. So this experience can be as short or as long as you would like it to be. It's kind of up to you. But honestly, just like my Rebbetzin says, many women go to the mikvah as a sort of escape to have time alone for themselves, which is understandable. I don't go to a lot of salons or spas to begin with, so this was my special night out. And by the way, in bigger cities like New York, they have all kinds of services at the mikvah too. You can get your manicure and pedicure done there, all kinds of things. So you can literally make it a spa day, which is very nice. Well, now you know what the mikvah is and what it's like. It's truly a lovely experience, and I recommend it to all women. To conclude today's episode, I will recite a poem by Cynthia, Wallace, titled Mikvah. At the end of the poem, there is a word in Hebrew that some people may not know. The word emet means truth. Hopefully that helps you understand more the meaning of the poem. Enjoy, and until next time. Naked and alone, I approach the mikvah. No speck of dirt or trailing hair between my body and the warm, flowing waters. I pull knees to chest, head curled down, a fetal position, the shape of the human heart. Water touches my every cell. The borders of my body become indistinguishable from molecules of sacred water. As one together, yet cradled and enveloped by a profound embrace. Hashem, that is water, water that is Hashem, nourished in his womb, that is her womb, that is the womb of the people Yisrael. 3 times I curl around myself, immerse my body into the waters, once within Hashem, Ehad, the place, twice within the womb of Shekhinah, thrice within the soul of my people Yisrael. Stepping out, I cherish the feeling of pressure, the water's indelible imprint on my skin, the comfort of being completely enveloped and sustained, the joy of feeling at one with myself, held with Hashem. Hashem, who is Adonai, was, is, always will be, is breath, is aha, is emet.